Got most of you in here. So tonight we're going to talk about how to take care of your mental health. A lot of us have been thrown into crisis slash homeschooling, and even if you're not doing those things, just the state of the world and everything that's happening right now, just never know what's coming at you. And we just want to talk about how to deal with stress and anxiety in healthy, natural ways. So we're going to talk about how stress affects the brain. We're going to talk about how essential oils work on the brain. We're going to talk about oils for anxiety, stress, depression. And then, I'm so excited for this part, we will have seasoned homeschoolers come on and give their top tips, both practical tips as well as essential oil tips. So to get us started, we're going to have Janelle teach us a bit about how the brain works and how essential oils work on the brain. So Janelle's been with Young Living for 6 years and has successfully used essential oils for stress, anxiety, and depression. She resides in Lloydminster with her husband of 21 years and her 7 children. She has a beautiful voice, for those of you who don't know, as well as a beautiful face. So welcome, Janelle. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to be back on these calls. Who is loving these educational calls? I love seeing you every week. Give me a high five if you're loving it. So I'm excited about tonight because I get to nerd out with you. Now, many of you might know me as a singer or like a music artist, but there's this like part of me that is very super nerdy. And so we're going to dive into biology to help us to understand a little bit more about anxiety, depression, and stress and how it affects our body. And more importantly, how we can use some really great tools. Now, when I was doing the research for this talk, as well as when I was researching my own conditions, I came across a lot of great information, but very rarely did they mention the efficacy of using essential oils to really help to alleviate. You know what? Give me 1 second. I'm just going to... There we go. I could hear my voice over and over again, and it was because I had the live stream going in the background, so I shut that off. Okay, so let us jump right into, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can follow up here with me. I'm still hearing my voice. I'm not sure why. Is anybody else hearing the echo?
No, you sound good. Oh, some people are hearing it.
That's why I'm like, this is strange. Okay, hang on a second. Let me X out of that. Can you still hear the echo? Yeah. Weird. Maybe if you mute yourself, Crystal. Is that helpful? Can you hear me now? Ah, that's what it was. Okay, super. Okay. Thank you for being with us here on this little technological hiatus that we got to figure out. Okay, so we're going to talk about the amygdala. So the amygdala is that little light blue thing on the screen. Now what it actually is a pair of small almond-shaped clusters of nuclei near the base of your brain. Now its function is to assess threat. So you see a bear coming for you, your amygdala is actually going to signal the rest of your brain to say, yo, there's an issue. We got to do something about this. And there's going to be a series of nerve impulses that are going to go through different parts of your brain to signal your fight or flight response. But it's the amygdala that initiates that process. So anxiety occurs when that process is continual or that process happens and is switched on too easily. So you see a kitty cat and your brain thinks it's seeing a bear and it starts to spaz and your brain goes into this process of strong nerve impulses through a series of different brain functions, and then eventually you get a massive hormone release. So Follow with me. We're going to the next slide. Right in here. So the chain of neural impulses that happen is it goes from your amygdala to your hypothalamus, to your pituitary glands, to your adrenals. And your adrenals secrete these hormones I was talking about called adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. So what happens is you end up with these fight or flight intense hormones that are surging through your body all the time. Now the problem with that is when that is going on all the time, these are your symptoms. Your heart starts to beat faster, your breath is faster, you feel flushed, your blood pressure goes up, your blood sugar goes up to give you extra energy, you have tunnel vision, your blood flow moves away from your gut into your muscles, and your muscles have lots of blood flow to them in case you need to run. Now, you could probably easily understand why this would be a problem if this is your body's natural state at all times. Now you don't have proper blood flow in your digestive system, so now you're gonna have digestive issues. Your blood pressure is gonna go up, your heart's beating faster, you're out of breath, you're feeling flushed. Not a good state to be in on a regular basis, right? Now, what ends up happening is this. Stress and anxiety in your body are the same thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Anxiety is worry about the past, and stress is worry about the future. According to your body, it's just going bananas. It doesn't care if you call it anxiety or you call it I'm stressed. Your body is just in a state of panic. You do not want your body to stay in a state of panic all the time because it not only messes with your cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, but all of your hormonal systems. We're gonna go back. Oops, now it's going the wrong way. Here we go. So there's a place in your brain called the limbic system where the amygdala resides. Now, in that system also is the hippocampus, which plays an important role in emotion, learning, and memory, and the hypothalamus, which regulates your blood pressure and your hormones. So you can see when the amygdala is targeted, all these other things start to come into play. Now, the good news is this. Do you see these little green things that are sticking outside of your brain? This is called your olfactory system. Now, your olfactory system, if you don't know, is what is right about here and comes in direct contact with all the things you breathe in through your nose. Now, do you notice how there is a long way around it and a short way around it? And so the olfactory nerve takes in all the smells that you're smelling, and it will send a message to the limbic part of your brain. Now, it sends it through a big loop, but it also sends it directly to what? Your amygdala. And if this is responsible for initiating all of those processes that cause you anxiety and stress, if we can somehow come in contact and break the chain of intense nerve impulses that are making you panic, then we can actually intercept that whole process and bring you to a place of normalcy or of peace before your brain starts to hijack your whole body. And this is where it's super, super important to know that you have options. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about depression before I go into talking about exactly what to do to hijack this process. So depression is a little bit different, but similar in a lot of ways. So what depression is it is a chemical imbalance in the brain, and it's primarily caused usually by low serotonin levels. So serotonin is a chemical in your brain. Now, when all of those processes in your brain that we just talked about are working well, your serotonin is at a normal level, and it will keep your moods at a place where you can function properly. So about 30% of your serotonin is produced in your brain, but what most people don't know is 70% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So a lot of antidepressive or antidepressant medicines, they are going to try to make your brain create more serotonin so that you don't have those mood fluctuations, so that you're more even keeled. What would be an even better solution, though, considering 70% of your serotonin is produced in your gut, would be to focus on your gut health, because it is often your gut health that is not producing the right amount of serotonin to complement what your brain can produce. So there's a little tip for you. So now let's get into how essential oils can help you in this. We're going to talk a little bit about what is an essential oil. So clearly, we know that essential oils come from plants, and basically what an essential oil is the lifeblood of the plant. So just like blood brings the life to our bodies, the essence or the oil inside the plant helps the plant to get rid of disease, to fight off any type of viruses or any type of pain points that come to it. If it gets bent in the wind, or if there's a pest or something that attacks it, it's the essential oil that will help to heal the plant. So God, in his infinite amazingness, he made it so that when we can extract the essential oils out of the plant and apply them to our bodies, it helps our bodies to do exactly that, to ward off any type of pestilence or virus or bacteria or that sort of thing, to help to our bodies to heal. Now, the cool thing with this is the molecular components that make up essential oils are very, very tiny. So this property allows them to be aromatic, as small molecules can more easily disperse in the air. But it also means that they're very concentrated and powerful. And 1 drop of essential oil contains approximately 40 million trillion molecules. That's kind of crazy. So when you turn on your diffuser, trillions of tiny essential oil particles are dispersed in the air. And when you breathe in these tiny particles, they are dissolved into the mucus lining of your nasal cavity. And in your nasal cavity, the molecules stimulate the olfactory receptors. Remember those little green things I showed you on my paper? Okay. Which trigger sensory neurons to carry signals to other parts of your olfactory system in your limbic system, that part of your brain we talked about. Okay, is it all coming together for you? So the limbic area is considered the emotional control center, and of course it includes the hippocampus, which is responsible for your long-term memory, your amygdala, which is your assessment of threat, right? And there's other ones that I want to mention because we haven't talked about them. Okay. Interestingly, the olfactory system is the only sensory mechanism that involves the limbic system and the amygdala in its primary processing pathway. This is why essential oils can be so effective in improving your mood. The specific molecules that essential oils are made up of are phenylpropanoids, monoterpenes, and sesquiterpenes. All 3 of these compounds have unique functions that contribute to the healing properties of essential oils, but sesquiterpenes likely have the greatest effect on the brain for several reasons. Firstly, sesquiterpenes can pass the blood-brain barrier. You will be hard-pressed to find very many molecules that can pass the blood-brain barrier. This barrier exists to protect the brain, and only very small lipid soluble molecules can pass. So fat soluble molecules can pass. Sesquiterpenes are one of these molecules. In fact, because they are so small, they're capable of penetrating deeply into your brain tissue. You guys, this is huge, because you know what? Pharmaceuticals don't pass the blood-brain barrier. So if you're having issues in the brain, wouldn't it make sense that you would try to use something that would actually penetrate and permeate the parts in your brain that actually need the help in the first place? The second thing that's really important about sesquiterpenes is they carry oxygen. Now, oxygen is amazing for our bodies, right? We know we need oxygen. Well, your brain needs oxygen to survive and to thrive. So the fact that sesquiterpenes can cross the blood-brain barrier is particularly important because of the oxygen they carry. This increases oxygen to help the brain to heal. It can improve learning and concentration, increase energy, and support the immune system. Research has shown that the increased oxygenation extends to the pituitary and pineal glands as well, which can help to restore hormonal balances. Do you remember adrenaline, cortisol, noradrenaline? Those are all hormones, okay? We need to bring those back into balance. So, little tip. Even if you can't smell, this still works. So if anybody says, well, I don't know about essential oils, I can't smell anyhow. Hodgepodge. This will still work. And it'll work very, very well because of the molecular structure of essential oils and how they react in your brain. So now that we know that, what oils should we be using? And so Crystal is going to be sharing a little bit more about that. So I hope that you were able to stick with me on this and follow me as we continued on this call. And believe me, if you didn't catch all that, it's okay. It will live in the Facebook group, and I will also probably turn it into a YouTube link for those of you that are not on Facebook. All right.
Thank you, Janelle. We enjoyed geeking out with you. Seriously, some of that information I've heard before, but I had forgotten some of it. So it's always good to have a refresher. And it just blows me away, the way that essential oils work and their efficiency. It's mind-boggling. So before we speak about oils that are great for anxiety, stress, depression, we're going to bring on a seasoned homeschooler to give a testimony here. So Valerie and her husband live on a century-old farm and have reclaimed their heritage in organic farming. They have 11 children and a passion for all things wellness. Val has homeschooled for many years and now has adult children in university. So let's give it up for Val. Welcome, Val.
I need to find her. Hang on a second. Where are you?
Well, while you're finding Val, I'm going to let you guys know a little oily tip. All the oils that Janelle spoke about, the ones that are high in sesquiterpenes, you might want to check out a blend called Brain Power. It is a blend of essential oils that are excellent for the brain. And so if you need help in that department, grab some Brain Power.
Val, are you here? Can you wave to me? Oh, there you
are.
are.
Yeah.
I see you.
Val yet.
Very good. Okay. Go ahead, my friend.
You have to excuse my crazy hair. I was outside helping my husband fix some machinery tonight or this afternoon, so I'm looking a little crazy right now. But yeah, we've been homeschooling for about 18 years now, and one of the things that we've really discovered that really help our kids with their homeschooling day. Oh, sorry, my connection's unstable, so if I'm popping in and popping out, I apologize. Let me just close some things here. So one of the things that we really discovered that works for our homeschooling life with our family and our 11 kids is that consistency is our number one thing. So we consistently have a rule for life that allows us to still be flexible. So what that means for us is we do our school in the morning, and that's when the kids their brains seem to be more rested and they're inclined to learn better. And so that works really good for us. But consistency doesn't mean inflexibility. So I just want to make it sure that all of you who are thinking of homeschooling or who are going through these tough COVID times and being forced to homeschool, that you know that you can still be flexible in your day. And that means if the phone rings or if someone stops in, a neighbor stops in, or something like that, that the kids are allowed to have that flexibility, right? And yourself too, right? So one of the things that we found that really, really works well, especially for my 10-year-old, she was just here a second ago, is her favorite, oh, here she is. You want to tell them? This is her favorite little diffuser. And what works so great is it's got this little USB plug. So it plugs into her computer, which is our homeschool room, or in our homeschool room. I'm going to get it plugged back in now. Sorry, I shouldn't have unplugged it. And this thing is really cool because it does intermittent, if it's on blue, I don't know if you can see that or not. Or if you push it on green, then it actually runs, whoops, I think I unplugged it. There we go. And then Emma actually puts in her favorite oil. What's your favorite oil? Lemon. Lemon's her favorite oil. Why is that your favorite oil?
It calms me down.
It calms her down. So it helps her to think better.
It's really sweet.
Sweet to her. It smells sweet to her. So that's our Emma Darling, and this orb diffuser, which helps us with our homeschooling. It's awesome. And I think that's it. Ask me any questions if you want later on. I'm here.
It's my second favorite.
It's your second favorite.
Awesome.
What's your first favorite? Oh, right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Valerie and Emma. That was awesome. And so like I was saying earlier in my talk, we are now going to have a one of our good friends, our best life besties, Crystal, to tell us all about what kind of oils are actually going to be your best friend in conquering this part of your brain. All right, Crystal, have at her.
Oh, I guess I need to unmute myself, hey? Okay, so if you haven't already discovered, there are many, many oils that work for stress, relaxation, anxiety, depression. Tonight I'm going to highlight 6 of them. Some of them I'm hoping you have in your home already, and maybe some of them are ones that you're going to want to discover. All right, but these are oils that Janelle and I came up with because they are listed in Health Canada's list of natural health products that we can actually broadcast and claim are good for stress and relaxation. So Health Canada has approved them as natural health products for stress and relaxation. So one of the first ones, and probably most obvious ones for stress, is an oil called Stress Away here. And many people love this oil. It has a bit of vanilla in it, so it smells like a tropical vacation. It has like a citrus vanilla smell. Many people use it as a perfume. I love to diffuse it because it gives the whole home just a beautiful smell. But also I love what it does for our family when we diffuse it, with the benefits of helping with nervous tension. It improves mental response. It lowers hypertension. And it helps with normal everyday stress. So you don't have to be like a stress case, really stressed out to be using Stress Away on a regular basis. This can just help your body process regular everyday stressors that we all have. All right, next up is an oil called Peace and Calming. This is a favorite for mothers. Many people use this in the diffuser at bedtime. It's not just for children, it's for adults too. But we have found that it works really great for the kids. You can massage it on the bottom of your feet to help you relax. It's great for calming overactive and hard to manage children. So if your kid is having a meltdown, you can rub some of this on their feet, put socks over it. You can put it on their pulse points, so that can be the wrist, that can be the neck, right? Or you can just cup it, put some in your hand, and cup it over their face and have them breathe it in. And if your kid is like hyperventilating mad, or just like freaking out, having a tantrum, you can actually put the oil in your hands, have them breathe it in for a bit, and just help them to calm down and relax. Tell them breathe really deeply and slowly, and it helps them to just relax and calm down. It also is really great at reducing depression, anxiety, stress, insomnia, like I spoke about, great diffuser at bedtime. And believe it or not, many people use this for restless leg syndrome. So that's a pretty cool use that most people don't identify peace and calming with, but you can rub it on your legs before bed. I would dilute it with carrier oil, such as Young Living's V6 oil or coconut oil, olive oil, some healthy fat. You don't want to be using like corn or soy or any of those highly processed oils or canola. You want to be using a healthy oil. All right, next up is lavender essential oil, which I'm gonna guess most of you have this oil in your arsenal of oils already. So this is a great one to pull out for relaxation. We use this in the bath. Mixed with some Epsom salts, it makes a fantastic before bed relaxation bath. The University of Miami researchers found that inhalation of lavender essential oil increased beta waves in the brain, suggesting heightened relaxation. It also reduced depression and improved cognitive performance. In 2001, a university study found that lavender reduced mental stress and increased alertness. All right, believe it or not, I don't have this next oil in my possession. I was so surprised because there are not very many oils that I don't own. But my kids, they go through this oil a lot because they use it to brighten their teeth. They put a drop of this oil on top of their toothpaste to help brighten their teeth. I just wanted to show you guys part of my oily collection here. It's like my pride and joy, the colors of the rainbow. This is my wellness kit. This is what I have as my first aid kit. So it's pretty fun, but I was looking for orange and I couldn't believe I didn't have any. So orange essential oil was shown to reduce anxiety in children awaiting medical treatments. So they tested the salivary cortisol levels and found that they were lowered as well as their pulse rates. So orange is fantastic for reducing stress and anxiety. It is also uplifting and an antidepressant. A university study found that citrus fragrances boosted immunity in children and in adults, induced relaxation, and reduced depression. So you could be diffusing citrus oils in your home to boost the immunity of everybody in your home, but also to bring up the uplifting feelings and making everybody feel great. Who knew? And citrus oils are so inexpensive. They're one of the cheapest oils you can get. So you can diffuse those things all day long. All right, next up is one of the most precious oils in my collection, and it is sacred frankincense. Sacred frankincense is one of those oils that we need to realize how blessed we are to have this oil. It is the first Omani frankincense to be available to those outside of Saudi royals or the privileged people of Oman. So for us, just regular folk, it's incredible that we have this oil. It is due to Gary Young's persistence. It is regarded at the world over as the rarest and most sought after aromatic in existence. After 15 years of research and 15 trips to Oman and numerous meetings and negotiations with Omani officials, Gary Young, our founder of Young Living, was granted the first export permit in the modern history of Oman for the release and export of the oil and permission to build a Young Living distillery in the country and export the resulting essential oil out of Oman. This is incredible, guys, that he was able to do this, and he was persistent. It took him 15 years to get this oil to us. Gary Young was on site to supervise the building of the distillery, and this oil, sacred frankincense, is believed to be the oil that was given to the Christ child. All right, so frankincense is used in many churches in incense burners and is believed to help you relax, de-stress, get in touch with yourself and with your creator, pray more deeply. And so it's not a coincidence that it's used in the churches for prayer. It actually does something physically to our body to help ground us, to help relax us, and to help us de-stress, get all the things in our head that are causing us to not be able to concentrate, to let them go, and to be able to calm down. So it is very calming, relaxing, and helpful with prayer and meditation. All right, next up is pine essential oil. Who has pine oil and does not know what to do with it? I have a lot of pine oil, and I gotta admit, I don't use it very often, although it is an oil that would be great for your respiratory system as well, because all tree oils are good for your respiratory system as well as for your mental health. So pine oil can be added to your bath water. Make sure that when you're using oils in your bath water that you're mixing them with Epsom salts, because if you're just, dropping this into your bath water, it's just going to float on the surface. It's not going to mix into the water. So if you mix it with some Epsom salts, then it can disperse throughout your bath. We actually have a lady on here. I'm not going to say who she is, but she shared a story with me once of how she sprinkled oil into her bath but didn't use Epsom salts. And then those oils just attached themselves to certain spots of her body, right? And she could feel heat in just those spots. Anyway, and it wasn't as pleasant as if it was mixed throughout the bath kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you're using something to disperse the oil into your bath water. So use it in your bath water to battle mental and emotional fatigue. It relieves anxiety, revitalizes the mind, body, and spirit, and it has empowering yet grounding fragrance. I really like tree oils for stress and anxiety. And I have to admit, I have not tried pine. My go-to is Northern Lights Black Spruce, which is our Canadian oil. But I do have a stash of pine oil, so I'm going to try that out next time. All right, and that is it for, well, there are many more, like I said, but we wanted to highlight some that you might have in your home already and show you what is possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. You're always so full of information and such a good teacher. Thank you. Okay, so we are talking tonight about de-stressing or diffusing the stress, anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. And right now, a lot of us are finding ourselves in a funny state having to homeschool. And so we have some more really, really great guest speakers for tonight. And so I'm going to pass it on to Crystal so she can share a little bit about these lovely ladies we're going to hear from.
Okay, well, next up is my friend and first cousin. Her name is Janelle Ortmeyer. Janelle is a seasoned homeschooler. She has 3 adult children and 6 children still in her nest that she's homeschooling. She's a devoted wife and mother with plenty of experience with natural remedies, running a busy household, and homeschooling. Her and her husband live near Stony Plain, Alberta, and love the great outdoors. So welcome, Chantal, to our call. We are excited to hear what you have to share with us tonight.
Hi, everybody. Like Crystal said, I've been homeschooling for many years, 12 to be exact. And funny story, my kids were asking me that yesterday, and we figured out, okay, we've been homeschooling for 12 years. How many more to go? Well, my youngest is 3, so I've got about 15 years left before we're done homeschooling. So I kind of, cried a little because we're not even halfway there. But anyways, it's been a great journey for us. And like Crystal said, I've got 3 kids who have graduated. My 3rd just graduated this year, and 1 next year, and the rest are still to come. But something that I found when we started homeschooling all those years ago was to talk to other mamas. Talked to as many people as I could that were homeschooling and just bounced ideas, saw what they were doing, what was working for them, how their family dynamics was compared to ours, and just took all those bits and pieces and brought it back to my family to see what I can make work for us, because every family is different, and everybody's got different dynamics. One thing that I was also told by a very wise woman was to maybe not depend on your husband or your spouse as much for support in homeschooling, because they're not really in the trenches. I know some husbands do homeschool, and that's great. But for me, to go to my husband and to share what I was experiencing was different. And I'd get the support that I needed if I shared it with another homeschooling mom. So community is really important, and especially those that are crisis schooling right now. You feel kind of isolated and not, you know, kind of alone, I guess. Homeschoolers can go through the same thing, except number one is to have the support to kind of get you through those hard days, and flexibility, like Valerie said as well. It's really important to be flexible, to know when to switch things up. If your kids are struggling in one area, you know what, you're homeschooling. You can switch it up so that they're succeeding in another. And a couple of oils that we use, especially for my high schoolers that are doing exams and diplomas, Clarity is a number one oil that I either get them to, if they're doing the exam at home, they smell it and diffuse it in the room. If they have to go to a library or a writing center to write their exams, they bring it with them. They put it on the back of their neck, a big sniff, and it really helps them to remember and focus on their exams. And I actually, if you diffuse it while they're studying, and then they bring it with them and inhale it when they're doing their exam, it really helps to bring back what they've learned, what they were studying earlier. And another one is Valor. Valor is great for anxiety and building confidence and feeling calm and relaxation and stuff. And Valor is my number one oil as well that I use when things are kind of getting a little bit stressful. So, and one little tidbit I'd like to share as well. I do make my own little roller ball with some oils. I just wanted to share real quick. I use frankincense or sacred frankincense, depending on what I've got on hand. And I put about 5 drops of each of these oils. Just a minute, please. Patchouli. Here's Abby coming to say hi. Ylang ylang. Bergamot.
Is this the roll?
And orange and lavender. So this is kind of what I put. Thank you, Abby. I put about 5 drops in this little roller ball top, and the rest is just a carrier oil. And I use it, and I use it when, you know, times kind of get a bit stressful. So yeah, that's my little tidbits.
Thank you, Chantal. That roller blend looks amazing. I bet it smells delicious. Yes,
It does.
I miss you seeing your face.
Yes.
It's not enough. Thanks, Beth. She put the recipe in the comment section for those of you who want to try making that roller. That would be great. All right, we have another guest speaker tonight to share testimony. Kim Bombach and her husband, Father Mike, live in Lloydminster, Alberta, along with their 5 children. As a pastoral family, they've served many people, both spiritually and physically. She brings learning to life with many hands-on projects in her homeschooling. And if you visit Kim, you'll find her in some sort of creative project, whether that is cooking, painting, or fermenting something delicious and good for you. Kim loves all things healthy, and we are excited to have her here tonight to share some tips with you. Welcome, Kim.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Good. That's very tactful of you, Crystal, the way that you put how messy my homeschooling can get. And that's just what I wanted to talk about when it comes to homeschooling, is that you should really play up your strengths and then get help in the spots that you're not so great at. So like Crystal mentioned, I prefer to do a lot of messy arts and crafts. We bake all the time. There's a lot of paint. There's a lot of mess in the way that I love to teach my kids. But on the flip side of that, I am not so great at teaching them to read or to do their math and stuff like that. So because of that, I try to find curriculum that kind of complements my strengths and then also helps me with my weaker areas. So I've realized that I can't just teach my kids to read by getting books from the library. I need someone to show me how to do it. I need to buy a boxed curriculum, you know, for that kind of thing, versus, you know, I can just go wild when it comes to teaching my kids like other things that are my strengths. So if you are going to be homeschooling in September, or you're homeschooling now, it's important to kind of look at what you're really good at and then play that up as strong as you can, and then talk to your other homeschooling friends about the curriculum they're using, ways that they are, you know, working with their families to kind of fill in those little holes, right? And so, because we're not all great teachers at all things, there can be some tantrums, some mommy tantrums, some kid tantrums, right? And Crystal actually said all of like the oils that I use pretty much, like the lavender and the Northern Lights black spruce, and Joy is my favorite, and Janelle mentioned that one in our very first thing, like a couple weeks ago, how much that, so I do exactly what Janelle told me to do. Put it in your hands like this, and you just take a deep breath, and you say, we are all okay. You do that a couple times, you make your kids do it, and then you like take a break from the math and move on, draw some pictures, and then go back. And then change your curriculum if it's not working for you. Just like Valerie and Chantel said, you can have a lot of flexibility and you don't have to do it the same way that everybody else does. There you go.
Beautiful, Kim. Thank you. We have, Kim and I have become fast friends, and we have the opposite strengths when it comes to homeschooling. I really dislike messes. And I am very regimented, and I'm very like scheduled. And Kim is just like a breath of fresh air. She just like likes to do all the fun things. So it's fun to have different friends that you can glean from and learn from, like Kim mentioned. All right, so Janelle has a few things to help us close off this call, so we will give it up for Janelle again. You gotta mute yourself, girl.
Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna share screen, and let me get out of my science here. Okay, so I know most of you are probably gonna get sick of hearing about this, but make sure that you are part of our Facebook group so that you can go back and select under units. All of the videos are in sequential order. Unit 1 was our first one, Unit 2, Unit 3, so on and so forth. So all these calls live forever in the units. So go ahead and check those out if you wanna share these videos with somebody else. Just put them in the Facebook group, and they can go ahead and check out the units for the calls, and of course this call will be there as well. Next, we have our next class, woohoo! And that'll be next Monday. It's called H.O.P.E, how to get back outside and enjoy it. So this is going to be addressing allergies and everything from snow mold, pollen, all the things, so that you can really go outside and enjoy the outdoors without having to tote your over-the-counter regulars, but be able to get something that is natural, that will actually build your body up to do what it was meant to do, and yeah, find some great natural solutions that work just as well or better because they actually heal your body from the issue in the first place. So that's our next call. And the one after that will be called Build Wealth from Home Even When You're Broke. So there's a lot of people that would love to have a Young Living business, would love to start a Young Living business, but either can't afford a premium starter kit or can't afford a monthly essential rewards order, and they're wondering, how the heck am I going to be able to run a Young Living business if I can't even do that? So we are going to give you some awesome strategies for you and your team members or anybody that's felt like they're in this place. So that'll be June 29th at 6:30. So make sure you mark your calendar for that. And Crystal, what do we have next? We have our draw.
We have this beautiful roller, yes, called Tranquil. And we will be doing a draw for this tonight, or we did the draw already, I should say. We're just gonna announce who won. But Tranquil Essential Oil is a blend of, the top 2 oils are lavender and cedarwood, which are both fantastic for helping you relax, fall asleep. This is a favorite before bed oil. I know Chantal here on the call, this was a game changer for her. She uses it before bed to help her relax. I believe she puts it on her pulse points. Sorry, Chantal, if you want to confirm that in the comment section, please go ahead and do so. But we are excited to be able to give this away tonight. And well, I'll let Janelle announce the winner.
Okay, our winner is Peggy Livermore. Woohoo! So Peggy, we are sending you that in the mail. So check your mailbox for some happy mail. And we just want to thank all of you so much for being on this call. We know that your time is precious. We appreciate that you want to spend it with us. And we hope that you learned something. And be sure to check back on the Facebook page to be able to comment on what was your favorite takeaway. We would love to hear from you because that helps us to craft our next classes. And we really hope that like I said, that this was a good use of your time, that you learned something. So thanks so much for tuning in. And from Crystal and I, God bless and good night.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.